You've just been over, I think, to the coaches to thank the Cheltenham fans. Is that right?
Yeah, just a quick thank you. It means a lot to the players. It's not cheap following a team around, especially when we've been as bad as what we have been away from home. So just a little thank you, because the players do appreciate the support. Hopefully they can see we're trying to improve. We need to get better away from home, no doubt about that next year. But yeah, it's not exactly a grand gesture. It's just a little thank you.
What did you make of the game today?
Individual, I thought just poor decision making. The two chances they had the first half were just two whacks down the pitch, bad decisions from us, and then the goal, set play, first contact, second contact, goal, and then Scott made a bad decision to throw it. So we were the makers of our own downfall today. We moved the ball well-ish first half, but didn't probably hurt enough. And there was pockets that we wanted to work on, and we had worked on, and we didn't quite get into. So I didn't think there was a lot in the game personally.
But no complaints about the result?
I'll be brutally honest, I'm not that bothered about the result now as regards to. I'd rather talk about the progress that's been made, because the last 6 months has been tough. The players have all bought in. They've been unbelievable as regards to the way they've stuck together, and they've come out the other end. So yes, we're disappointed that we've lost the game, because we wanted to win the game. The players know that we need to be better away from home. It's impossible we can be as good at home and bad away, which is a mentality thing which we need to get to the bottom of. But yeah, generally I thought it was an okay performance.
Just on this away, I appreciate it is the end of the season, but 4 points out of 30 is in such marked contrast, isn't it, to the home football?
Yeah, it's a conundrum. We need to work it out. It's something that we will get a chance to work pre-season. So if something isn't happening, we can flip into a different formation, which is something we've not really had time to do. And it's like you said, a new season. Sometimes, probably next year, we'll end up not winning a home game and winning every away game. That's the weirdness of football. So sometimes it isn't a science. It isn't. You can overthink it and you can look for things that aren't there. So the key is now rest up, ready to go next season.
16 points clear of the bottom two. You've done the job that you were brought in to do. Does that mean that you look back on it and say, that was a good decision for me to leave, and we talked about it before, the security of an under-23 job, and come back to a club that we've got great affection for, but came in at a very difficult time?
It was an opportunity you don't often get, and I'll be brutally honest, I probably wouldn't have taken it any other League Two club. I probably wouldn't have taken the job because of where I was, the relationship I had with the club, the relationship I had with the manager. But it was an opportunity to go to a club that I knew well. Other things as well, bringing the wife and the family back home, because she's been in Manchester for 15 years, so she wanted to come home as well. So it ticked all the right boxes. And did I think it was going to be easy? No. Have I learned a lot? Yes. I'm sure hopefully we'll be better next season. I know for a fact I'll be better next season, having to go through what we've gone through. So it's been tough, but it's been enjoyable.
You talked about the relationship you have with the manager. What did you mean by that?
Oh, with Sean Dash. There won't have been an under-23s manager that had the access to the first team that I had. I was in the morning meetings every morning. I could pick his brain in the 40 minutes while the lads were warming up. It was just me and him sitting in the office chewing the fat. So that, people pay a lot of money to go to seminars to listen to him talk. I got those nuggets all the time, and I still speak to him a lot now. Particularly at the start when it was tough. He was on the phone 3 or 4 times a week because he knows how difficult it is, and sometimes managers are the only ones that really know, because ultimately if it doesn't work, you're the one that's going to get ejected. So he's had a tough year as well this year, and he's managed to turn it around on a completely different level. So that's why, because like you said, I probably had a job for life if I ever what I did, but it's the 3 points. It's those moments that you work for. Yes, it's nice developing players. I was fortunate enough to work a lot with Dwight McNeil, who's gone on and had a brilliant season this year. So that's pleasing for that side of it. But ultimately, what I have been my whole life is I want to win. I'm competitive. You don't get that in 23s football because it's about development. So now, hopefully next season, it's a performance world we live in. But the key is, can you develop whilst you're performing? That's the holy grail.
What has been perhaps the one thing that's surprised you about being a manager?
God, there's quite a few things. I think everyone looks to you all the time. Everyone's always looking to you. Sometimes it is difficult because you don't always have the answers. But the staff have been great. They've brought in. The players have been great. Because that's what I just said to them there. So it does pay you. I think if you do the right things often enough, it'll pay you back. And they kept doing the right thing. They kept drumming the message home. And they could have lost faith. They could have gone, who's this clown that's come in? He can't win a game. Because sometimes players will blame the manager. It would be Gary's fault, and then it was my fault we couldn't win the game. But they didn't. They looked themselves in the mirror, and they believed in what they are, and they've delivered very good performances. Because off the back of it, we've been playing some half-decent football as well. So it wasn't firefighting football where it's 4-4-2, crash it down the middle and just get what you can. So I think to be able to almost play our way out of trouble has been probably a surprising factor from my point of view, because I went in with my own ideas, but I've enjoyed watching my team play.
And that's been reflected. You must be pleased in the fact that season tickets are going well. 25% of the people who are coming to Cheltenham next season, as season tickets, will be coming for the first time.
Well, that's great. So hopefully we win the first game of the season. But no, I think there is a definitely a feel of when you're around the place at the minute that we're maybe hopefully trying to build something. No, we're not naive enough to think that we'll just rock up next year and carry on this form. It's back to basics, get them fit, get them organised, get them structured, get the right players in, that's the key, always. No matter, we could be the best manager in the world, but if we don't get the right players in, it's pointless. So the players that will stay here will know, the good thing is there's a good bunch of them now, and they know what to expect from me. And I know what I expect from them. So there's not going to be a shock when they're expected to work hard every single day and don't have an off day because you can't afford it. We're not good enough. We're not good enough to turn it on and off when we like. But that's what they've done this year. And the culture of the club is getting better. Habits are getting better. So the more you can do that, hopefully it becomes a little bit more automatic, subliminal, where you're just doing it then. That's what we want.
Do you think in some way that there's a risk of there being over-expectation next season? Because it's been a fabulous second half of the season. You would have been there or thereabouts in terms of top 8, in terms of the form. And people now suddenly say, even with the budget, which clearly is not going to be a huge budget, people say, oh, well, this could be playoffs next season.
That's other people's expectations. I know where we're at as regards to in the budget. We finished 16th in League 2, ultimately. And the budget's been cut, so it's not me saying we're going to get relegated, but I'm not going to shout from the rooftops. We'll just go about our work as we have done this year. So people would have thought I was mental when we were in the bottom 2, and I said, look, just keep working hard, work hard on the training ground, it'll pay you back, because it's what I believe in. So next year we'll be doing exactly the same thing. We won't be doing anything different, and we'll finish where we finish. Hopefully, like you say, you get a good group and you can get a good start. You never know where it takes you, but good, bad or indifferent, you won't hear me shouting from the rooftop.
This time last week you said 2 or 3 deals perhaps this week. You got 3 done. What do you expect to happen this week?
I'm not sure, to be brutally honest. Not quite sure where we're at with a few of the negotiations. So I wouldn't have thought there'd be 2 or I wouldn't have thought there'd be 3 anyway. 2 or 3, no, I don't think so. So it's difficult because it's not my decision ultimately. So you'll find, as every week, as soon as the players sign the contract, you'll find out straight away.
And I appreciate you won't talk about individual players, but is it likely that some players will be told that they will not be in contract next season?
We had a meeting with all the players in the last couple of days, because obviously bank holiday on Monday, you don't want to be bringing the players back after today. So we had all those meetings. So it was difficult. That was the under-18s and the first team players. So obviously we'll put a list out next week of the retained list, and some will be deciding on what their future is, and some have been told that there won't be a future at the club.
And how difficult is that for you as a manager to give some of those messages?
That's the tough part of the job, because it's not personal. And so there's people you're letting go that you really like, but whether it's a footballing decision or whether it's a financial decision, whether you can talk about the constraints of where we are, sometimes the decision gets taken out of our hand. And that's the difficult bit, when you're letting people go that you like. But it was no different when 2-3 years ago when I was letting under 18s go, because that's their dream that you're killing. Not killing, but it's that moment of disappointment. So it is difficult, but we live in a ruthless world. So there's no room for sentiment. There's no room for. I just said to the players there, just reflect on where they've been, what they've done, how much they've achieved, sticking together, and just wish them all the best, whether it's here or whether it's elsewhere.
Clearly, some players will lose some players who you might want to keep. Maybe. How close are you to potentially bringing brand new faces to the club next season?
We're not really in that position at all, because we're not really speaking to anyone else yet, because we don't know what we're looking for. So until we know, which we probably will do in a couple of weeks, imagine 2 weeks from now we'll know who's staying and who's not. There'll be no decision to be made, because the contracts are on the table for a length of time, then they'll get taken away, and then that's when we need to start putting a matrix together. We've got an idea of numbers and things like that, but there's also people out as well. There's people getting in, people out as well. So that's the other side of the game.
So in a couple of weeks, those contract offers that you've made, it's effectively, if you haven't signed then, the contract's off the table. Is that the situation?
Yeah, well, it'll be, the contract might still be there, but it might not be the same contract. You know, we can't be pointing to players as regards to, well, I'll just use that as a negotiation block for the next 8 weeks. If I can't get anything, I'll sign it. We can't have that as a club. We can't be bullied like that. So we think we've offered fair contracts to people of where we're at. Ultimately, it's up to the players. You know, no one's forcing their hand. And I can't, like I said, I genuinely, I don't think we've got any idiots in the dressing room. Not one. And I've just told them that again. So if they make a decision, they get an offer elsewhere, absolutely fine. I respect what they've done for me in the last 6 months. If not, they'll come back next season, and I look forward to working with them.
There have been a number of contracted players who haven't been around the first team for whatever reason in the last few weeks. Is it likely that some of those might leave as well?
Probably. But again, you can't force people out the door. So it is what it is. People have been told that they don't feature and they won't play, so they can hang around for a year next year if they want to. We can't force them out the door, but they won't get any football. So that's
as brutal as that. You will not be playing first team football for Cheltenham this game.
Yeah. That's the tough side of the game. Again, it's not personal. It's a football decision. So and then it's over to the player what they want to do. Whether they want to find another club or they want to sit here and see the money out.
And Michael, so overall, final day of the season, you'd have taken this, wouldn't you?
I don't think there's a Cheltenham supporter that wouldn't have taken where we are now. So yeah, lots of hard work, ups and downs, but I think weirdly, I find it uncomfortable saying it because I'm pleased with 16th. It goes against everything in my being, but we were 23rd at one point, so that's an improvement on 23rd.